Director of Public Prosecutions, Noordin Haji, thank you so much for making time for Checkpoint. It's great to have you with us. So it has been 6 months since you came into office, and unprecedented cases of arrests, arraignments, charges in court. You've had a lot of supporters cheering you on. I wonder what you make of what has been the past half year that you've been in office.
A very hectic and roller coaster moment for me, considering from where I came from, where we didn't have much publicity of what we were doing. So it was a learning curve for me. It's a learning curve still, and I'm still trying to get used to it, trying to get used to the media attention. I think I've tried to put my best foot forward, and whatever I learned from where I came from, I'm trying to apply them. And I think for me, somehow it's working. Yeah. So it's been quite an experience.
Where you found the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and where it is now, are there changes you've brought in? Are there reviews that have been done, or are things still operating as they were in as far as structure?
I would like to think that there will be a bit of changes on how we've worked, how we've operated. But I think the most important thing is how we have been cooperating, coordinating, and collaborating with the different organizations charged with the criminal justice system. Right. So I think we've been working much more closely with the ESCC and the DCI. We have a good rapport with the judiciary too, despite challenges. And I think I'd want to think that I brought a bit of some new impetus, but I also have a great team that has stood by me so far, and I foresee them working with me to see that collaboration and cooperation and coordination. I think we have moved into guiding investigations. There's a bit of misunderstanding. People think that we investigate, but we don't. We try to guide and assist and expedite the process. Right. And that has brought a bit of a change. There are other things that we are trying to put in place that will bring changes. And I think the other most important aspect of after having come to office is the support that we've got from the public. I think there's been a big change. But in addition to that, the support from the executive in terms of, and parliament, in terms of, and the judiciary too, in terms of the work and the mandate that we have.
Let's talk about some of the matters you've handled, and the most high-profile person arrested so far, the Deputy Chief Justice. Of course, that's a matter before court. There are areas we cannot get into, but let's get into some of the debate around it. And perhaps before that, you mentioned in that press conference just before the arrest that you went to see the Chief Justice. Would you speak to us a little bit about how that was like? What was his response to you saying I'm about to arrest your deputy?
I didn't expect any response because we have two clear separate mandates. What I did is I just informed him out of courtesy and the respect for the institution, and the fact that we are colleagues in the criminal justice system, and the seniority of the office. So I did inform him. He understood. He understood my mandate, and he supported the fact that I have that, that mandate that is very clear in the Constitution. Right. I think the fact that, like in any other situation, he had his own different reservations and a different interpretation of how things should have unfolded. I had mine, But I think we both respected the fact that we are both independent institutions, and the decision was mine, solely mine. He had no role whatsoever, and I want to make that very clear in making that decision. And I hope the public understand that, and I take full responsibility, and I'm not going to hide or run away from it. Yeah.
You talk about and emphasize solely yours, because even at the time you addressed the media on this pending arrest, there was a question to, is this the revisit? And a lot of that dominated news headlines thereafter, correlating it with other developments in the judiciary. So to those who think that, because of what had been said earlier in the political sphere, how do you allay those fears?
I took all that into consideration. Say, for example, Sophie, I had to wait for the next 2 years. Would the arguments have changed? And I think my conclusion was they wouldn't. There would still be allegations of a revisit. And the question was, did a crime occur? Did I have a prima facie case? Was it sufficient evidence for me to prosecute? I felt that I did have enough evidence. It was the case, I had a prima facie case against the Honorable DCJ. And I decided to go by my work and stand by it.
So one of the also debates, and perhaps would have been a reservation, I don't know, of the CJ, is why not go through the Article 168 process of the JSC probing the DCJ and the allegations against her before then the criminal justice system kicks in? Because the argument would be, at the end of the day, even if she was found guilty, to remove her as a judge, that's the process.
I have the Kenyan Constitution here.
Okay.
There's Article 157, 10. Kindly read this for me.
157:10. The Director of Public Prosecutions shall not require the consent of any person or authority for the commencement of criminal proceedings, and in the exercise of his or her powers or functions shall not be under the direction or control of any person or authority.
Thank you, and I rest my case.
But I speak not of direction. Some would look at it as, isn't it more tidy? Isn't it more of allowing at least this person to go through the JSC? If found to have a case to answer and they're dismissed as a judge, then, because it will not take away from those charges coming at any other time.
To read 168 then.
Okay.
So that nobody says that I'm...
168. 1. A judge of a superior court may be removed from office only on the grounds of inability to perform the functions of office arising from mental or physical incapacity, a breach of a code of conduct prescribed for judges of the superior courts by an act of parliament, bankruptcy, incompetence, or gross misconduct or misbehavior.
Next section.
The removal of a judge may be initiated only by the Judicial Service Commission acting on its own motion or on the petition of any person to the Judicial Service Commission.
Does it talk about crime? There's gross misconduct. The question is, does gross misconduct amount, or does crime amount to a gross misconduct? Maybe that's a question we should ask. And in my interpretation, it doesn't. If it's a crime, the process is that the DPP has that mandate and can prosecute. But this is something that is before court. We are going to argue out. We have filed our replying motions to the applications that were put forward by the DCJ's lawyers. I think we have filed them, they're there. And we're looking forward to putting our arguments out there before the court of law.
What also has been reported is that these charges date back to 2013 when DCJ Mwilu was Court of Appeal judge at the time. She was interviewed for DCJ 2016, and your office is one of those that would offer information to JSC if there are any investigations or concerns about a particular candidate. The question has been, why didn't any of this come up, even if it was still a process ongoing at the time?
Well, one, I was not in office then. I would have made sure that I would have done thorough vetting if I was required to. But two, this matter was shrouded with commercial aspects into it. It only came up after the collapse of IBL, that is Imperial Bank Limited. And after it was brought to my attention by the Kenya Revenue Authority.
So before it was brought to your attention, the matter was not in existence in the ODPP?
No,
to the best of your knowledge?
No, it was not. It took the investigating arms 6 months to investigate this. And because of the sensitivities of the matter, we were very careful on how we went. We made sure that we had enough evidence. Mm-hmm. We perused the files over and over. We asked questions. And at the end of it, when it was complete, the file was on my desk and I had to make a decision. Mm-hmm. We are not limited by time when it comes to criminal offenses, whether it happened in 2013 mm-hmm. or 2012. As long as she was in office then, and the matter is about integrity. We had every right to look into the matter, yeah. And that's exactly what we did.